Hello, what is up, everybody? I hope that you are all having a wonderful day. For those of you who are new here, my name is Tyler Adolfo. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. I'm glad to have all of you here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We have an intriguing topic for today, and that topic is side effects of bipolar medications. I will be talking about the various side effects that I've personally experienced since starting bipolar medications in February of 2022. So I've been on these medications for approximately 2 years now. We're approaching that anniversary, that 2-year anniversary. So I feel like I'm capable of providing a comprehensive view from my standpoint, from my personal experience of what I've gone through over the course of these 2 years of treatment. Now, I've been on a bunch of different medications for bipolar disorder, and it's impossible for me to remember every single solitary one of them, but I will do my best where I can, where it's possible, to attribute the side effect to the specific medication that I had been put on or was taking. And that's another thing, is that because I've been on so many medications at once, it's hard to isolate and determine which medication contributed to that particular side effect more. But in cases where it's possible, I am going to alienate and discriminate where possible which medication contributed the most to a side effect, where it's possible to do so. So starting off with that, let's get right into it. One of the most prominent side effects I've experienced, and one that I've talked about in many of my videos, is weight gain and obesity. And studies have shown that antipsychotics in particular have been linked and highly correlated to increased rates of obesity and weight gain. And I am a textbook definition of that being the case. Since starting bipolar medications, I put on 170 pounds. I've gone from 180 pounds in February of 2022 to 350 pounds today as of the filming of this video. I actually haven't weighed myself in a couple weeks, so it may be a little bit lower. I've been going to the gym, but 350 pounds as of December 2023. That's a whole lot of weight to put on for anybody. And the fact that I put it on in such a short amount of time is deeply concerning to me. Now, there's no question that my medications for bipolar were beneficial in the sense that they helped pull me out of a major manic episode that was actively destroying my life. I lost my job, I lost my education, I lost my friends, I damaged relationships with family and people from my network. So there were so many drastic consequences for my manic episode, and I don't think I would have been able to come out of that manic episode without the intervention of medication. In particular, I was put on the medication Abilify. And Abilify, very speedily, I would say within 1 month to 6 weeks, was able to pull me out of mania. That was a monumental change. It was a big victory for my personal health and well-being because I had already experienced a myriad of consequences from my mania. But things took a downward spiral from there, and I just kept getting put on more and more medications. And as I got put on more and more medications, my weight started to exponentially grow. There was really no end in sight. I remember thinking that when I hit 300 pounds, that this was the end, that, I'll stabilize and not get bigger. But then I hit 315. And then I thought 315 was the end point. And then I hit 330. And then I hit all the way up to 350. And, that's the point where I kind of just said to myself, enough is enough. I have to start taking proactive action to try and mitigate the side effects of these medications, because this is too much weight to carry. It's way too heavy of a burden, and I don't want to carry it anymore. So weight gain and obesity is probably one of the most prominent, noticeable side effects that I've experienced. But it's not the only one. One that I've experienced in the mind in particular is issues of focus and concentration. Now, for those who don't know me, before my bipolar episode, I was a studious person. I would consider myself an avid reader, a lifelong learner, and I would just absolutely devour books even outside of the classroom. So ones that were not assigned, ones that I was not obligated to read as part of a class, I would read. And I just had an active interest in learning, and I could read 150 pages in a sitting and be done with a 300-page book in one day. That's not the case anymore. Since starting bipolar medications, I've had issues with memory, focus, and concentration. It's very difficult for me to keep my mind on one task at any given moment in time. And I've noticed this not just with reading, but I've also noticed it with other activities as well. So, I'll set myself the goal of, I'm going to go walk for 45 minutes as a workout. And so I'll go outside, and 15 minutes into my walk, I'll start having so many racing thoughts about things that happened to me during mania, and it disrupts the tranquility of the walk. The whole purpose of the walking is that peaceful benefit of mind that you derive from it, and the endorphins that you get from it. But my focus and concentration has been interrupted so greatly, arguably multiple times during the filming of this video already. But I've noticed it because it's just such a severe difference to be able to read 300 pages of a book in a day to now having to read in 5 to 7 page increments at a time is a noticeable difference. And it's hard to just, pass off as depression when this problem in particular started after I began taking bipolar medications. And that brings us into the next side effect I've experienced, and that is sleep insomnia. So this one, there's a specific medication I can mention which contributed to heightened levels of activity at night when I started taking it, and that is ibuprofen, which is the other name for Wellbutrin. When I started taking the Wellbutrin initially, and this is a medication I really like, by the way. When I took it initially, though, I was taking one of the doses later in the afternoon, like evening, 6, 7 p.m. at night. And whenever I take this medication, it gives me a burst of energy. A burst of energy, I would argue, I crucially need to carry out my tasks of the day, which are few these days, but I still need that energy that I get, that invigorating feeling that I get from the Wellbutrin. But taking it later at night resulted in me being highly active at night, and my mind just would not quiet down. And this ties into the other side effect I've experienced, and I've alluded to it already, and that is racing thoughts. I've experienced so many racing thoughts since coming out of mania and starting bipolar medications. When I first came out of mania, this was not the case. It wasn't until I started taking bipolar medications that I started to have racing thoughts about things that happened in mania. And I don't know if it's because, I was in such a severe state of depression that for some reason it just didn't click, it just didn't occur. But it's definitely occurring now, although to a lightened degree. The amount of racing thoughts I've experienced have thankfully diminished over time. Another side effect I have, and I would argue this is a serious one, and I haven't had the opportunity to bring it up to my psychiatrist yet because I just don't feel comfortable talking to her at all. And I have a video on that called I Walked Out on My Psychiatrist's Rant. If you haven't seen that, I'll put the link to that video in the description box of this video so that you can take a look and check that out. It has about 2,000 views right now, so I'm really happy about that. One of my more successful videos as of late. This side effect is, simply put, vomiting. And this has come from the medication lamotrigine. Ever since being on lamotrigine, I have had bouts of vomiting that occur, coincidentally, I'm sure, shortly after taking lamotrigine. Now, I don't have this happen every time I take lamotrigine, but since starting it, it's been like a once to twice a week occurrence where after taking one of my dosages of lamotrigine, within a few minutes later, I'll throw up. And I notice in the throw up that the lamotrigine tablet is in there. So for some reason, my body just didn't digest it. It just resisted it. And, I haven't had the chance to mention this to my psychiatrist. I'm in the process of actually getting a new one. And lamotrigine is one of the 2 medications that I actually want to get off of. I'm on 5 medications right now. Lamotrigine and lithium are the 2 that I do not want to be on anymore because of side effects I've experienced. Lithium, the side effect that I experienced most is weight gain, I would say. Being on lithium brought my weight up a significant chunk. Even though I wasn't on it from the beginning, it really expedited my weight gain process, which was already going super fast to begin with. So one other side effect that I'll be sharing in this video, and this is another I would classify as prominent, and that is social withdrawal. Before I began treatment for bipolar disorder, I lived an active lifestyle. I had hundreds of friends in college. That's not an exaggeration. Hundreds of friends in college. I was involved in a plethora of different clubs and various activities in the community. I had a full-time job. And these are all things I lost during mania. But even as I was coming out of mania, I was still socializing and interacting with people to the extent that I could given my new circumstances. But when I started the bipolar medications, I started to feel overwhelming feelings of anxiety. And I don't know if part of this is due to the fact that the medications removed a lot of the psychotic symptoms that I was experiencing, but that could very well be a possibility. And so once the psychotic symptoms were no longer in play, maybe, I started to see reality for what it really was. That definitely happened. And seeing reality kind of caught me off guard. And now I have feelings of anxiety and lower self-esteem as a result of recognizing reality for what it is, after realizing that I did these things that I did and said these things that I did, these extreme things that I said and did during mania. They all happened. And now I'm at a point where I've accepted what happened, and I'm very thankful for that. And despite the side effects I've experienced on bipolar medications, I will say that I am grateful for the medications that pulled me out of mania, because my manic episode truly had no end in sight. I don't think there was any natural way that manic episode could have ended. It was almost 6 months long, and it kind of just went on and intensified and got worse and worse. And so that brings me to today. I still experience issues with focus and concentration. I still experience a great deal of sleep insomnia, but not to the degree that I once did. I still experience racing thoughts, but not to the extent that I once did. So in many instances, my symptoms are improving, but I wouldn't attribute that to the medication. I attribute it to active changes that I've been making through pure and sheer willpower. I've been going to the gym these past few weeks, and I've noticed that right away improve my sleeping patterns. It makes me fatigued at night after using my energy up earlier in the day, and it allows me to get a peaceful, restful sleep. And I've been combining it with taking melatonin, which has also enabled me to get a good night's sleep and get out of bed at a reasonable time in the morning instead of staying in bed for such a prolonged period of time throughout the day. So I've experienced many side effects on bipolar medications, but I would in no way advise anybody that because of these side effects I experienced, that you should just stop taking bipolar medications or anything extreme like that. These are all discussions you want to have with your psychiatrist, and I hope, unlike me, that you feel comfortable speaking with your psychiatrist, and if not, then maybe it's time to part ways and get a new one. Someone commented on my psychiatrist video, it's time for you to part ways, and I could not agree more, and that's exactly what I'm doing, what I'm striving to accomplish. But that's it for today's video. I'm going to be hitting the gym because I want to keep my streak alive, and I have a weigh-in coming up shortly. But I appreciate you all watching this video. Share down below in the comments if you have bipolar disorder, if there's any side effects you've experienced. Do you relate to any of the ones that I've experienced? Do any of them strike a chord with you? What side effects have you experienced that I didn't? If those you would like to share. Of course, if you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's totally okay, but it's an option if you'd like to. This channel is a judgment-free zone. We keep open discourse here, and I try to preserve and keep things that way because I feel like it's the most comfortable, best learning atmosphere when things are that way. So I want to thank all the new viewers for coming by to check out this video and check out my channel. I'd like to thank the returning viewers for coming back. I appreciate you all sticking around. But that's it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace out, y'all.